Despite Arsenal being one of the best teams in the country over the last few years, they have just missed out on the Premier League title to Man City both times. Now, while a lot of people expect Arsenal to finally win the Premier League title this season, it is still going to be a very hard task for the team to do for the first time in over 20 years. But in my opinion, there has been one problem that has been causing Arsenal to not be as good as they could be, and that is balance in the front line with consistent attacks coming from everywhere. Now, in pre-season, I think they have changed this and they are looking a much better team. So let's get into why this could potentially win them the league. Now, I should probably say that obviously no team in football is perfect, but you can be to near enough perfect as you can get. And I do think there's a few things that Arsenal have struggled with. I mean, such as not being able to manage some in-game situations as best as possible, but I think we can only see how that goes when we're actually in them big games once again. But for me, the major issue with the team, or at least going forward, has been the left-hand side compared to the right-hand side of the team. It hasn't been balanced over the last season, and we are not getting to the same levels as we were the year before that. Of course, Arsenal scored so many goals last season. They scored the second most in the league and were obviously very good going forward. One of the major factors of that has to be the set piece routines, obviously very effective from corners, the most corner goals in the Premier League, and I don't think that's going to change because in pre-season it looks like they have worked on even more ways to get the ball to Gabriel, and you don't just get bad at scoring corners when you're expected to score the amount that you do. But overall, I think I'm in agreement with a lot of people that Arsenal need to score more plays from open play, considering how good they are at every other place in the pitch. Now, one of the problems is that Bukayo Saka is one of the best wingers in the world, so you want to give him the ball as much as possible. For last season, Arsenal, majority of their attacks were going down the right side. Now, this is not always down to Saka carrying the ball, but he's also got Odegaard, who loves being in that right half space, ends up being too close to Saka, and there's not enough room for Saka to come inside because Odegaard usually drags the player towards him. Now, sometimes this is not great, and it really cost us in games such as West Ham last season, but also in some games it can be amazing, and Arsenal later on in the season sort of found a system where Odegaard would step up a bit deeper, giving Saka that space that he wants to go one-on-one and get the chances that he needs, while obviously also having Havertz help anywhere around. Now, last season when it started, Arsenal tried to play Havertz in that left centre mid spot to try and create a triangle on the left side compared to the right side as well. I think the original idea was for someone like Timber to invert into the middle and Rice to go and work into that left space because he prefers that pass. Now, this ended up not working. Obviously, Timber was injured, so Arsenal couldn't really get the progression to happen. Also, Havertz was not a player like Granit Xhaka. At the start, he was more seen as a box crusher, someone that was going to go back post and wait for headers to happen, rather than necessarily getting involved in build-up play that much because he tried and his on-the-ball work wasn't as good. Now, towards the end of the last season, Arsenal always had a switch on to the left side. They had people like Trossard and Martinelli out there wanting 1v1s and trying to get the ball there, but oftentimes it didn't work, and Arsenal were too slow in progression and transition to actually get the ball out in them positions quick enough. Now, this changed a little bit when Rice was moved into that left centre mid spot near the end of the year, where he could drive with the ball into that space and actually back up the winger, bringing defenders away from them and actually getting them chances that they want inside the box. Now, of course, this did cause some problems defensively. I think Partey and DM is not as good as Rice, and Arsenal did give away a lot more possession because they didn't have the control in it with that positioning, but overall it worked because I think Arsenal were a lot better going forward and there's a lot more balance there. Now, it seems like Arsenal have been trying to work on their left half space channels at least a lot in pre-season. We have seen Zinchenko be very good in games against Leverkusen and Lyon, and not only being able to look up and come into the middle and dictate play, but also being very aggressive down that left side, helping become one of the members of the five going forward for the 5-2-3, and being able to do good through balls as well. But one of the key things that has changed with his role specifically is that he loves being in that left half space just outside the box. That's the space that we see Ben White operate in, that right half space last year, and this has been very good with midfielders like Rice running in deep and late, and Havertz being able to get onto crosses. Now, when you have this channel availability by the right and left side, it's going to make the team a lot more balanced, and I think overall it's going to improve a lot. And with it it seems like Arsenal are trying to get Saka inside the box a lot more, this is only going to help us because Saka does not need to create the width as he did before, can actually get into them key areas where he can score goals even more rather than having to create a miracle piece of work every time he goes down the wing. And not only does going down the left hand space give us more balance, it also gives Saka a lot more ability to actually get chances where he can go one-on-one against defenders rather than being a 2v1 and having to cross it back post. He can be closer to the action and closer to the goal more importantly. Now, not only Zinchenko is helping this role be better for Arsenal, there has obviously been inclinations with signings that they are making and have made before. Calafiori is one of the main people that is going to help this role. Last season, Arsenal's penalty box pass penetration was almost 30% in every single metric, but only 18% on the byline of the left hand side. This is down to the fact that Tomiyasu played a lot of the end of the season and he's not a left-footed player, so he isn't going to want to go to the byline and actually cross the ball in or create a ball back for the other team. This is why Calafiori can be a very vital piece. Not only has he got the ability to bring the ball up from deep in that space, but he also can calmly overlap Martinelli or Trossard and pull the ball back or run with it even more. And with him and Zinchenko being the only two left-footers, they were the only two that you can really trust to do that role in the left-back spot. And Zinchenko was more of a passer before, but Calafiori is definitely more of a ball-running player, and ability-wise can also help Arsenal within these spaces drive up the pitch, getting people inside of him as well. And in areas such as Zinchenko dropping off because he's not got the physical level of someone else, Calafiori can provide that as well as offering something different. And as it is for Merino, if he is to sign and play in that left half space, the triangles that were created especially in the Lyon game between Martinelli, Rice and Zinchenko, he can contribute to that as well and overlap and be a physical battler in there, but also being someone that makes incisive runs and more importantly can also get into the box from deep if it goes down the right hand side as well. This balance of midfield, attack and defence is going to be very important to Arsenal's attack. And while players like Odegaard definitely have a right side bias where he prefers passing it on the right side, and maybe Rice has got a bit of a left side bias, now we're finally going to get some progression where it's going to be a balance around the pitch. We're not relying on Odegaard to keep passing it down to the left side to Martinelli, which he doesn't enjoy doing. We can have Havertz slot into that spot and help Merino and Martinelli and the left back in roles that go forward, while you could have Saka, Odegaard and Rice in a triangle with White down the right side as well. And while we are yet to see if this will actually make a difference in the games, you can already see it improving the team. Against Lyon, Arsenal actually went down the left more than the right, but it also shows the team is progressing and actually becoming a more balanced side. Because in 2022-2023, where Arsenal were really electric, they were so good going forward with all their forwards scoring a huge amount of goals, but defensively maybe they lacked that cutting edge with injuries to main players. Last year we had the opposite. We were good going forward and very good from set pieces, but they weren't consistently scoring goals, especially at the start of the year. But defensively they had everything secure pretty much the whole time, and especially in the latter half of the season. This season we're looking for a balance of both, and players like Merino and Calafiori do move the needle in making sure the left hand space is better, and overall that will improve the team to an enormous amounts because of how good the right hand side is anyway. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think this will make much difference, and what is your biggest problem with the team right now? This may, I think, will probably improve our attack overall, but obviously if we signed a striker that could as well. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.